He was determined to become a gangster, but he never expected that right after joining the gang, he would be sent to the police academy by the boss. His mission was to train a group of undercover agents inside the police.
What's the difference?
Although it went against his dream, this was also a way of working for the boss. Martin studied seriously how to become an excellent police officer. He performed outstandingly during school and got full marks in every subject. Just like that 10 years passed, he successfully completed the police academy training and truly became an excellent police officer. At the graduation ceremony, the boss even came personally to congratulate him.
School's out.
Thank you, Frank.
You earned it.
But right after he started working, he received a notice from his superior. There would be a big operation tonight, and a battle between undercover agents was about to begin. Han Chen from the drug trafficking group would trade with a Hong Kong buyer in 1 hour, but luckily the police had already received intel and installed surveillance near the factory in advance. Now they were just waiting to catch them red-handed. Martin panicked after hearing this. Luckily he found a chance to inform the boss.
Hi, Dad.
Yes.
Something big came up at work. I'm not gonna be home for supper.
Too bad. Your mother worked all goddamn day. We'll just have to sit down without you and your friends.
Oh no, my friends are still coming.
Seeing his superior walking over, Martin followed the flow and told his father on the phone that he and his friend would not go home for dinner tonight. Han Chan understood immediately and said, the food is already made so it still has to be eaten. This meant he still decided to go through with the deal. Just like that, Martin passed the key information to the boss. However, the police side made a last-minute adjustment. They would identify identities through cameras and then lock onto their phones separately to carry out arrests. Martin could only take another risk and secretly put his hand into his pocket. Han Chan appeared in sight first, and he also received the message from Martin. He knew he was being monitored. Han Chan told his men to turn off their phones. He did not want to give up the dollars already in hand. The police also noticed the problem at this moment, but it seemed there was still one device not turned off. Soon the superior also received intel from the undercover agent.
The buyers are there.
You know, direct contact with your guys would have its advantages.
Not to my guy.
And the undercover planted in the drug group by the police was Han Chan's most trusted subordinate Nick. His experience was completely opposite to Martin's. 10 years ago Nick graduated from the police academy with full marks, but due to his special family background, he was selected by the minister right after joining the police.
You sure of that?
I'm sure of that.
The Commonwealth, this is your chance. We need you, pal.
Although Nick was very dissatisfied inside, he still chose to obey the arrangement of his superior. The minister gave him a startup fund. Since he could not hide the fact that he was a police academy student, he had to create a criminal record. Nick was therefore expelled from the police force. He was only released on parole in the 5th year of prison. But during this period, he still had to go to a location designated by the court every week for psychological counseling in order to successfully infiltrate the gang. Right after being released, he went to find his aunt, but in fact it was to get close to his cousin.
Like $30,000, right? Insurance money?
Yeah.
You know, after my mother passed and everything.
Yeah.
In your line of work, if I gave you, like what, say 10,000? What could I get back?
Just like that, he successfully gained his cousin's trust. In order to rise quickly, Nick kept proving himself every day. This finally earned the boss appreciation, but gaining trust was extremely difficult. Although the boss had dealings with his father before, it did not mean he could have the same privilege. The boss hoped he would mind it. Then he took out a severed hand and said he found a bug in the arm of the last traitor. One could imagine how miserable the outcome was. Nick was terrified and quickly threw away all the devices on him. The minister knew this young man's will had already been worn down. He promised that as long as this criminal group was taken down, Nick would be restored to his original position. But the arrest operation that night still failed. The police did not expect the experienced Han Chen to disappear by water. Nick knew there must be a problem internally, and Han Chen also realized there was a mole around him. Martin had just returned home with his fiancée when he received a call from the boss, asking him to find out who the undercover was. But Martin did not have access to the minister's computer. He asked the boss to provide the personnel information from last night's operation, although Martin was not very willing, because since Lisa appeared, he had started wanting a normal life, but his identity made it impossible. Yet he would never have imagined Lisa was actually Nick's psychologist.